baby, and we are back, everybody. Welcome back to Words with Wayman. I'm your host, as always, Matt Wayman. As always, follow us online, guys. Twitter at Words with Wayman, Facebook Words with Wayman fan page. Thank you all so much for listening. We got a awesome episode, guys. I'm going to jump right into it. Very talented local Denver musician. Definitely one of my favorites by far. Recently got a big write-up in the Westward, a local Denver mag. I know him through an agency member, Corey Rose, everybody, who it's his birthday today, so we're having some fun. Please welcome to the podcast, Felix Fast4Ward.
Peace, Wayman.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this, man.
Yeah.
Trying to get this together for a little while. I'm glad we could finally make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, I told you a little bit about it, but basically just, like creatively driven podcast. You're definitely one of the doing stuff different that I know with music. But basically, like when I started this podcast, we started off from the beginning. So where were you raised at?
Raised in Houston, Texas.
Oh, cool.
By way of Chicago, Evanston, Illinois.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I've been to both of those places. I've been to Evanston and Houston. I got some family down in Houston.
Oh, wow.
Used to go up to Chicago a little bit. So what, you moved when you were pretty young?
From Evanston. Yeah, I would say pretty young. Yeah. And
what did you go to school? Did you start school down in Houston?
No, I was in school in McCutcheon Branch and in Evanston, Illinois.
Nice.
Yeah.
Were you musically inclinated from the start?
No, not at all. No, not at all.
So what did you like when you were like a little kid? What were you into?
Just kind of playing and just being outside.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that, like some people do find some outlet early, but I was just outside a lot, playing some sports and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more fun, So then you moved down to Houston. Would you go to grade school down there, high school down there?
That was, I want to say, middle school there.
Middle school.
Yeah.
So how was that moving out and going into a new school and having to make all those new friends? Yeah.
Super culture shock.
They're super different places.
Yeah,
That's the North and the South. That's Chicago, I feel like in a lot of ways is not the epitome of the North, but it's a very northern city.
Well said.
And the South, I mean, the South is just a different breed down there, especially Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas. There's certain stuff that, it's just so different down there.
Very true.
Did you adapt quickly or was it kind of tough?
I want to say I adapted pretty quickly just because you don't have any choice. I think we kind of talked about that earlier. Sometimes life doesn't give you any choices. It's just like decisions now.
And you're an outgoing guy, so I mean it's not like you can't go and make new friends,
True,
especially
true.
when you're at that young age. When I feel like middle school, I feel like kids are more willing to accept other kids as opposed to high school. You get to high school, they're like, we've already made our friends kind of.
Very true.
You're the new kid, get out of here.
Right.
Which I think would be really hard.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's a good point, actually.
Mm-hmm. So what were the high school years like?
The high school years were really cool. At the very beginning, I went to a school that was very, kind of plain. There was no thought diversity going on. It was just let's get these kids into this place because they live near here, and let's get them in and out and definitely get their diplomas. But so I experienced that early, and then I was like, Mom, I don't think I can do this.
Yeah, kind of like what, just not being pushed or just kind of just going through the motions every day and the teacher's not caring?
I would say it was more of a connection thing because I would have a friend and then not see him for like a week or something because the school's so big. So I was like, man, I feel like connections are like very important in school. So
definitely, like the kids that you connect with a lot are usually more the kids that are in like the actual classes that you're in, or if you guys drink afterwards or after school. Because I used to hang out with a bunch like public school kids and but I never saw those kids during the day as much. But it was just like we just like to drink together. So that's nothing else.
Yeah, there's safety there for sure.
Did you ever have any other activities besides school that you were doing in high school? Like any extracurriculars?
I want to say...
Curriculars?
Curricular. Ooh, Tyrannosaurus Trabecular. I like that.
That is. That's a good album title right there.
Whoa.
Little track title at least.
Cheers. At least, yeah, let's start there.
We'll move up. It's got to be a banger to get on that.
Yeah, it is.
You got to have a bunch of other dinosaur songs that even make that to the top. Yeah, we had to write a lot of other T-Rex stuff, but I think it was worth it in the end.
Wow.
Nobody liked the album, but we still made it.
That's important. Wow. And so the question was extracurricular activities. Well, at first it was definitely sports, and then, like you said, once you start like going home to your neighborhood, and then you're realizing that, all these other activities are going on, it kind of puts you in a different place. So I would go and like go to friends' houses who are like really into like music, and I was like, I don't even think I had a cassette player or a CD until I was like like in high school.
That's insane.
Yeah, so like there was like I felt like I was kind of
late
late blossomer.
Do you think your parents like just weren't into that as much? I'm sure they probably weren't like trying to hold it back from you.
Well said. I respect that. I do think that it wasn't because I was just living with my mom at the time. I don't think her purpose was like he should not know about such and such. It was more just like this never came up type thing.
It's right. Yeah, like my mom played cello and she never tried to get me into music at all. And like my dad always wanted to be a guitarist, but they never pushed us towards music. But I think it's just because they were so busy and stuff all the time, you know? It's like, what do you put it? And sports is easier. I feel like sports is more the natural progression to be like, and it gets that energy out.
Oh, exactly.
So it's like go get tired, you come home, make it easier. What sports were you into? Football?
I was definitely a football player, a basketball player, for sure. Both of those.
It's fun. I mean, I definitely think sports is one of those things where I did them a lot, and then realized later in my life that it was like I don't necessarily know if I want. Like I was really into riding bikes, and I was like I don't want to go professional because all those dudes are on drugs. So then like it was like this sport's kind of gross to me now, you know. And I feel like football's getting a bad image a little bit these days too, just because of that, the concussions and stuff like that. So it's like, but when you're a child, I feel like it's all idolized. Like that's the end goal is to be a professional athlete for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think. I mean, in this very moment, I think things like that are so necessary to kind of like prep your mind for the other things that are possible in life. And I felt like that's what sports did. It was like, all right, well, the competition aspect, not too into it.
Yeah.
But like getting out all this energy and working as a team into it. So when when I came into the arts, it was more like, okay, now I see like how structurally what sports were doing to me. It kind of like gave me this like,
teach you lessons.
Exactly.
And definitely drive. What I mean? Like the drive,
huge.
I think is one of the biggest things that sports can give people.
It instantly tells you where you are. Yeah.
And like you see a dude in front of you, you're like, I have to run faster to get to him. That's what, like that's nice. What drive in some essences is. It's like knowing that there's a need to fulfill and you have to do it.
Indeed.
That's cool. So you did some sports and then when did you find, so then you are going through high school and then what happened towards the end of high school?
I forget to mention that I switched to a art magnet school.
Oh, cool!
So that's where it was like the whole world kind of like it opened color. Everything became color.
What year was that?
I want to say that was year 1996, 7.
So you were how old then?
I don't remember.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the first time where you're like, this is something that I like.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that was just a smaller school.
Smaller school, get to see your connections quicker. You get to see them more than you actually would. I feel like in the school that kind of is like bigger.
Yeah.
So those connections happen, and you're kind of seeing how their mind thinks. You're seeing like a little bit more diversity in thought, and just being able to study different people like for longer aspects of time, you get to see like where their excellence lies.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And like you can cultivate that relationship and just like know those people better, so you can get more out of it in the end. I'm sure it's a lot more fulfilling.
Yeah, there's a symbiotic thing that happens for sure because you guys are obviously spending time along with each other, so you get to see each other's perspectives like from your own perspective and like
on the same level as opposed to authoritarian, which I feel like a lot of teachers and stuff. So is that where you found music then at that point in that school?
I would say for sure like people were more interested in like whatever genre they were, so they kind of like lent that appreciation to me, by osmosis for sure.
Oh yeah, and definitely. I mean, I didn't even really grow up with too many kids that played music until I went to college, and then there's a bunch of kids, and I started playing some drums and stuff like that. But I always wanted to, but I do feel like a lot of times it is who you're surrounded by when you're younger.
Bingo.
Because like you see these, I was living down in New Orleans for years, and these little kids are surrounded by horn music from the time they're 1 year old, and you see these little kids, 3, 4, 5, 6 shredding.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just cool to see that is something that is culturally inclined, but also that is a huge outlet in a fun way for these. Like, oh man, can you imagine that being like 4 wailing on a trumpet?
That'd be the
like,
coolest.
You might not appreciate it as much when you're that little at all, but. It's one of those things that you should be exposed. You should be exposed to it when you're younger.
Exactly.
I feel like it opens the brain up to imagination for sure. It's just like something's different.
Exactly, and you see that there's other possibilities besides just becoming like this football player or something. There's like it kind of reopens up the world to you in a way that's like really fully encompasses what it's possible.
And it makes you watch movies different because you hear the music and movies. It's just like, yeah, you're completely right. You saw the light after you got inside.
Right.
And like realized that was where it was. So then after that, you're going through. So you finished up high school there?
Finished up high school there.
Which is a cool outlet that they have down in Houston, Texas for the ability for you to be able to do that. Was it in that district? Or did you have to get
You had to switch.
Yeah,
it was different. Yeah, it was different for sure.
Well, give it up for your mom for giving you the opportunity.
Cheers,
for
Mom.
that. That's
love
fantastic
you so much.
for her, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it does take sacrifices from parents a lot of the times to give us what we have today.
Absolutely.
So then you finished up there, and then what brought you out to this grand old city of?
Yeah.
Because was that the next move after that?
Actually, there was one more step, which was just kind of, the kind of DJ culture was kind of like picking up as far as like hip hop goes.
Yeah.
And so I'd meet friends at these shows that like were into like DJing, like scratching and just nerding out on stuff. So that was kind of the wormhole into music was through the turntable, actually, and just like nerding out with friends and learning scratches and such.
So you guys would just hang out and then just like scratch records and stuff?
Big time.
For like a long time?
Yeah,
probably?
exactly. So that's when you realize, okay, people get nerdy. And that's a huge realization too.
We're learning about this record culture, which is so deep too, which teaches you the history of music throughout and everything. And
absolutely.
I saw this DJ the other night spinning 45s and just like doing it so great. It's just like there's, I feel like you through DJing you learn the history of music a lot of times.
Big time. And you get a vast array for sure.
Yeah. Because everything works. Like you can make anything work. That's just kind of the skill and the art of the DJ is to be able to put two things that you'd never think go together.
Like a chef of sorts.
Mm-hmm. And you kind of do that in your act, but you just more build it from the bottom and build a lot of stuff. But you do some samples and stuff like that, which is super, super cool. So did you DJ around for a while after that?
DJ'd around for a while. Yeah. Entered some competitions.
Cool.
Did really well.
Heck yeah.
Got the ego activated, I would say.
Yeah. It's like once you see that, you know that you're good at something creative, and definitely people come up and are like,
yeah.
It's like a drug. It's just like anything like that.
You said it.
Like the immediate feedback is like so great.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with music, it's like people are grooving and like feeling it, and you can see them just feeling good.
Purely.
Which is crazy, you know?
It's magical.
It's a difference, like, because I do comedy and you can make people laugh and that's good, but like whenever I like to play music and like play in front of people, it's just so cool to see actually.
That other dimension of feeling goodness.
It's a different level. It's not, it's not like cerebral in the fact that you're just like thinking about it. It's just more like euphoric.
Big time. Heart, for sure.
Like a fun way. Cool, so you were DJing around for a while, you got that little taste, and then what happened after that?
And then there was one of the friends within that group of scratching and just spending many hours moved out here to go to school, DU for business.
Cool.
And he said, hey, do you want to visit? I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's see what happens out here.
Mm-hmm.
I need a change.
Yeah.
So I went, plane ticket, to and fro. And then I went and I lived with him for a little bit, just kind of set up like a couple of days. I was like, it felt like we were reconnecting and like getting back to that essence and just being out here.
Did you fall in love with the city immediately? I feel like everybody I talk to that's like Denver people that like have lived here, like live here currently, like just say it right away. They're like, I just fell in love with the city almost immediately. Mm-hmm. And then they're hooked after that.
And those mountains speak, man.
Right, don't
those mountains speak.
And I feel like a lot of times they're taken for granted and stuff, but it's like, you just like, I even sometimes have to remind myself, it's like to look out at them because it is this thing. It's like, it really puts you in perspective all the time. It's like you think you might be going hard, you think you might be grinding and doing something, but look at like you can never be as big as they are. You know, like it's like keep.
Wow, that's true.
It just makes you feel small and like I feel like a good reassuring way.
Mm-hmm.
I should probably make it up into the mountains one time.
Man,
lived here 2
please
years.
do. It's time.
I need to go skiing. I need to check something out.
There we go.
I've made the call.
Yeah. Cheers.
That's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I mean, that's pretty much. I mean, these things they go quick. So we're getting down to the end of the first episode. Before we get out of here, you just want to give all your internet stuff and like shows, whatever you want to plug, where people can check you out.
Sweet.
Check you out.
I don't know when this will come out. But
this will be out next weekend.
Next weekend. Yeah. Okay. So next week. Okay. Check it out. Well, I would say you want to first go to Facebook. Use that. That's a really good medium to kind of see where I am, and it's just Felix Fast4Ward, 4 WARD, and it's just search it in Google and see what you come up with.
Yeah.
I do want to plug this Smart Fast record. and the Dirty Southpaws record, and record with Alan Soul Daddy. So yeah, just look out for collaborations, and check me out online. Thank you.
Awesome. Check them out online, everybody. I want to thank you so much for doing this.
Cheers.
This has been the part 1 with Felix Fast4Ward. Everybody, as always, support us online on Twitter at Words with Wayman, on Facebook, Words with Wayman. Guys, thank you so much for listening, and we will be right back with part 2.